Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kia and I like to read. Today we are going to be going through all the books that I read in the month of April. So I'm very excited to go through this. If you see me looking down, it's because I've got my notes here in front of me on my iPad. But in April, I read 10 books. I'm blown away. I can't believe I read that many. I don't know if I've ever actually read that many books in 1 month, but I was determined. I chose my TBR and I was so determined to stick to it. It was so large because mostly the books that I selected for my TBR for the month of April, I needed to read like the one right before it. For example, like I read the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening as Told by the Boys. So then I had to read the original one first. And then I also found out that there's a prequel as well. So I had to read that. So yeah, there was just a couple things that I had to like finish off first before moving on to the next one. So that's why. And I was just trying so hard to get all of these finished in the month. So to jump straight in, the first book that I finished reading was Daughter of Darkness by Terry Brooks. Now, this is the second book in the Viridian Deep series. I read this on my Kindle, so I didn't have the actual book, I just read it on my Kindle, and I rated it a 3 stars. This book, it's a fantasy, it's a YA fantasy. There's fae, there's dragons, there's humans, goblins. There's romance in it, except I would say in this book especially, it was severely lacking. I felt like the FMC, her name is Oris, and she grew up in the human world. She was told by her parents that she was human, and that was all there was to it. She then stumbled across the Fae realm. This all happened in the first book, Child of Light. It will introduce to all of the characters, you know, the different worlds in the first book. Now, this second one, there was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of like mysteries that they had to solve and things like that. But she found out that she is actually Fae, and so she really sort of stepped into her Fae self. So they grow like leaves in their hair and stuff like that, which I think is really cute. So she was looking very Fae during this book, and her husband, I'm pretty sure they got married in the first book, her husband, he does go missing in this second book, and she's got not missing, like she knows where he is, but his soul pretty much gets sucked out of him. And she needs to work out how to cure him. Now, the way that they go about this was really weird. Like, I did not have any connection to, like, it didn't seem like there was any emotions that she had about this. It was just like, oh yeah, my husband's soul's gone. Anyway, that sucks. Moving on. Like, it just didn't seem like she was that sad. Like the way that I was reading it, I was like, this girl does not care really. It was an interesting story, but yeah, I just don't feel like there was much emotion around something that you would imagine would be very emotional. I just didn't find that it seemed like she cared that much. She felt very distant. And like the whole book was about her trying to get this cure for him. Just there was no like that internal like dialogue going on where she was really upset, or, you know, there would be a couple times where she would be sitting down and be like maybe cry a little bit or whatever, and then she'd be like, all right, enough crying, time to move on. Like, yeah, it was just really weird. I just didn't feel like she cared. A lot of the time it seemed like she was just accepting his death and just trying to move on and live the rest of her life. But anyway, enough of that. Yes, so this one I did rate 3 stars. It was okay. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, like, it's hard recommending things. Like, it's for a teenager, maybe, like if you're getting into the fantasy world, I think it could be interesting. I actually read a different book in between these two, but I will jump straight into the third book of that series just while we're already talking about this series, which is Sister of Starlit Seas. So I did read this one. I got this book from the library, and I rated this one 3 stars. This one follows Oris and Harrow's sister. She is on some like self-discovery journey. She's trying to figure out who she is. So this one actually has mermaids as well in it. So there's mermaids and sirens. I believe they are sirens. I don't feel like it belongs in the same series just because it barely has anything to do with Oris and Harrow. So this one, it's literally just following Shah around while she's trying to figure out who she is. She feels like she's grown up living beneath the legends of her mother and, you know, Oris now. They're very powerful women. And so I feel like she was feeling a bit lost and hidden in their shadows. So she is, yeah, just trying to figure out who she is. She runs away for a few years, doesn't see her family. While it has nothing to do with, I guess, Viridian Deep, because she leaves, it always is referencing back. So I feel like that's almost the only tie to the series. It's always referencing Oris and it's always referencing Harrow and Viridian Deep, but it never, like, towards the end she goes back, but it doesn't have anything to really do with the series. It just seemed a bit random, but I did still rate it 3 stars. It was okay. It was all right. Now, next. Then I finished off the Judgement of Powers book, which was written by Benedict Jacka. This one I read the audiobook for. This one is the third book in the Inheritance of Magic series. I believe it's the last book. There's no other books out. I don't know if he's currently writing a next book. If he does, I don't think I'll read it. I'm not too invested in it anymore. So this one, it's fantasy. It has magic themes. So their magic system is called Drewcraft. And I don't think it's technically categorized as a YA book, but I would put it there. Like, I think it's PG, I suppose. Like, it doesn't, there's no like spice. It's not romance, nothing like that. It's literally, it just follows the main character around. His name's Stephen Oakwood. And it's a bit of a mystery because he's trying to solve like where his dad went. So his dad disappeared. He's trying to track him down, find out where he is. He's also trying to learn about this whole magic world and, you know, getting to know the rest of his family and stuff like that. So there's honestly not really too much new in this book. Considering it is the third book in the series, it almost seems a bit repetitive between all 3 of them. Probably could have been a standalone, to be fair. Nothing crazy happens between them all. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Well, I read this one through like Spotify on the audiobook. I read this one as an audio. I listened to this one as an audiobook through my Spotify subscription. Then I read Oak King, Holly King. So I read this one. This one's by Sebastian Nothwell, and it is a standalone book. This one is a historical fantasy. It's all about, like, there's the Fae realm, and then also there's the humans. And so the Fae, obviously, they have magic. And there's, I guess, like trials, I guess you could say. It's a MM romance as well. So these are the 2 main characters. And yeah, so it's all about Shrike. So he's the Fae one. I'm not sure if you can see, but he's got pointy ears. And then Ren is the human. So Ren was just working as a clerk in this little town. And Shrike came into the human realm to find him, basically because he believed that he could help. So he did some, like, I guess, it's almost, I guess, like blood magic, but it was like using like bones and stuff like that. And so yeah, he did some like spell thing, and the answer pretty much said like to go find Ren because he'll be able to help him out during like their trials and stuff. So I thought this was really cool. I rated it a 4 stars. I thought it was quite cute, some parts. There is spice, be warned. Maybe like a 3 out of 5 stars. I haven't read too many crazy spicy books, so still getting a gauge on that scale. But yes, definitely is spice. So if you're not interested in spice, I would not suggest this book. Towards the start of the book, you're learning about the world, the characters. Then towards the end is really cool. They're trying to track down, like, there's missing papers and stuff like that. They're trying to track that down. There's he's got to learn how to fight and battle, I suppose. So like towards the end is also quite interesting because there's a purpose and they're working towards something and they're like investigating things. Most of the book couldn't really tell you what went on. Like there wasn't a whole lot going on. There was a lot of words, but not a lot happening. I also listened to this on my audiobook as well. So I'm not gonna lie, I started to get bored. Like through that middle section, I was getting bored. It's written in a very interesting way. Very like a medieval style like terminology that they use. It's very, very historical. But I did enjoy it. Like I said, like I liked the start and I liked the end. It's just the middle, it got a bit boring, in my opinion. But still, I did end up giving this a 4 stars. I'm sure other people have probably spoken about this, but I do struggle with the rating system sometimes because I'm trying to do justice to the author. I also don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. There's a few things to consider. Like there's my personal opinion of it, but like maybe I didn't understand it. Maybe I wasn't focused that much on the book. Maybe I didn't get invested in the story. So all these things would affect my rating. But then there's also like, what was the author going for? Maybe I had in my head that it was, maybe I had different expectations in my head, whereas the author, that was never their plan. So then I don't want to be rating them less because I didn't understand it well. Maybe the things that I'm like, oh, I thought this was missing from the book, maybe that was the intention. Maybe it was never supposed to be there. It's just hard. Like there's my opinion, but there's also compared to other books in that genre, if they're comparable. For example, with the Viridian Deep series, I'm like, I was almost going to rate it lower because I didn't enjoy it too much, but I'm like, but that's what the author was going for, so I had to judge them based on what they were going for and the genre, just because I made a poor decision in choosing what genre I was reading. I don't know if this is making any sense. Anyway, moving on. I then started reading the Zodiac Academy series, and let me tell you, I was obsessed. I could not put these books down. I loved these so much. This was such a fun time. I don't know why I didn't start reading it sooner. So the Zodiac Academy series is written by Carolyn Peckham and Susanne Valenti. This is the only physical book that I've got of theirs, but I did read, so I read 3 of the books in the series this month. I started out with the Origins of an Academy Bully. That is the prequel. This one I read in one night. It was so quick. I just found it on my Kindle Unlimited. I think it took me about like 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit less than that to read. 5 stars. I think everything in this series is going to be 5 stars, honestly. So the Zodiac Academy series is a fantasy romantasy. There's fae. It's enemies to lovers. While I haven't gotten to any of the lovers part yet, I do know that it's coming. I'm just at the enemies stage right now still. So in these books, there is everything ever. There's vampires, there's sirens, there's werewolves, there's dragons. Honestly, there's everything. So it's an academy setting. So it's all about these 2 girls, Darcy and Tori Vega. They grew up in the human world, but then when they turned 18, they were like, I think they were like releasing their like magical aura or like their magical signature. And then the council of like where the Zodiac Academy takes place, so I believe it's in the city, I think it's called Solaria, is I think their realm, which is like the Fae realm. And so legally they have to go collect these humans and bring them back into their world to go to Zodiac Academy. They've got to enroll. And when they get to the reckoning, which is sort of like the decider of if they stay at the academy or if they have to leave. And then if they stay, they're like up for their inheritance and then they can like take over the throne and stuff like that. But the heirs and a professor are all doing their best to get these girls kicked out. Darcy and Tori Vega, they are the daughters of the Savage King. So now the Savage King was murdered, but they had no idea about any of this. They thought they just grew up, you know, as humans. They had no idea that they had any powers, anything like that. And then, yeah, so they get dropped into this academy. Their powers get awakened. The professor is Professor Orion. Then there is 4 heirs. So there is Max, Caleb, Darius, and Seth. And all of these together are trying to get them kicked out because they are threatened by these girls because they are so incredibly powerful and they are now the rightful heirs to the throne. So I first started out with The Origins of an Academy Bully. This is the prequel. It's all about Darius and Orion. It goes into the history of like Darius growing up and then how Orion and Darius became so close. Yeah, so it's the prequel, so it's technically 0.5 in the series. I read this all in one night. So good. 5 stars. Next. Then I read The Awakening on my Kindle. This one, I started listening to the dramatized adaptation on like the audiobook on Spotify. This was really cool. Actually, it was literally like a movie in my ears. It was really cool. With that, I did some immersive reading as well. This one I would rate 5 stars. So good. Loved it. This is in the perspective of Darcy and Tori, just going through their experience of everything that's happened. So, you know, them starting out in the human world and then getting taught all these things, getting dropped into Zodiac Academy, getting their powers awakened, their introductions to Orion and the heirs. This is, yeah, so it's fully in the perspective of the twin sisters. After that, I read, where are we? So this one is pretty much the exact story of The Awakening, except this one is just in the perspective of the boys. So this is the 4 heirs and the professor. It goes through their perspectives, their first thoughts about the girls as they've started at the academy. And yeah, you just get all their thoughts, their feelings, and their views behind a lot of the things that they do. So when you're reading the first awakening in the perspective of the girls, you'll realize that these guys are so horrible to them and they do some really messed up stuff. But then this side of it, you're getting their perspective and like, you know, who's controlling it all sort of thing, who's actually wanting to do it, what they're thinking as they're going through it. So I do really like this. It made me hate the boys a lot less because when I finished The Awakening, I hated them so much and I did not want to read anymore. I was so angry. This book, it calmed me down a little bit. They still do some really horrible things, but you just have their motives in mind as well. So like you're realizing who's pulling all the strings in the background and why they're doing what they're doing. So this definitely made me hate them a lot less. And guess what? 5 stars. Who would have guessed? Okay. Then I read The Second Death of Locke. This one is by V.L. Bovalino. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I read this book and let me tell you, this is so beautiful. This is such a stunning book. I loved this so much. I read this physical book as well as I listened to some of the audiobook as well. This is a standalone, so it's not in a series or anything. And this is just so beautiful. Like it's written in a bit of like a historical way as well, which sometimes I do find is a little bit hard to get around. Like it's hard to read sometimes. It's hard to flow, especially if you're reading a lot of vocabulary that you don't normally use. But I do think this was so beautiful and very well written. So this follows the FMC. Her name is Gray and the MMC is Kier. This, I just cannot get over how beautiful this is. It is a romance. It's a very slow burn and I love that so much. I honestly had no idea. Though I don't know, the way that the romance was building up, it was very unexpected and I wasn't expecting it to actually happen. This was very beautiful. Now there is a little bit of spice, I suppose you would say, but it's written in such a mature way, like in a very mature, reserved way. It's not crazy. So I feel like if you don't like spice, there's a chance that you would still actually like this because while you obviously you know what's happening, it's not a very intense situation. It's written very reserved. I think the genre as well, I think it's like a high fantasy. So this is all about mages and wells. So the FMC Grey, she is a well and the mage is Kier. So mages can't just whip magic out on their own. They need a well to be pulling the magic from. And so that's what they are together. So they together are a whole. This is so beautiful. I honestly could not get over it. I rated this 5 stars. Just like, so good. Like the ending as well. I was towards the end, I was getting scared that it was going to be a very devastating, heartbreaking ending. This is beautiful. So I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, but like this just has such a beautiful ending. I loved this so much, and I would 100% recommend reading this. It is quite a long story. It did take me quite a while to read. The day that I finished this, I stayed up until about 2 a.m. just to finish it. Like I was like, I need to get this book done so I can do this wrap up. This so good. Trust me, read it. It's a gorgeous story. Very beautiful. Now, finally, I'm going to actually have to come back because I am almost finished my secret book that I have been talking about. So this secret book is none other than Rabid. So this is by Ivy Asher and Raven Kennedy. This is all about wolves. So they're the shifters. So they're humans, but then they can shift into their wolf form. Their wolves come to them as a spirit. It was different because there's different packs. So different packs have different rules. The first pack that the FMC, her name is Seneca. She was in this first pack where they had to turn 18 before they go into what's called the flux. The flux is where all the eligible people, their spirit wolves, come and claim them. And so, yeah, in her first pack that she was with, the age was 18. In this next pack that she's with, there is no age limit. It's just whenever you're ready. And like the kids can be like 6, 7, 8, like something like that. So there's no age for it. I haven't finished this yet. I am so close to finishing it. So I don't have like a rating or anything, but I will quickly finish this. I've got about 2 hours on it. So I'm hoping I can get this finished in time for like with enough light to be able to finish this vlog. But I will be back with my final thoughts and feelings on this book. Hey guys, it's the next day. It was too late and dark yesterday by the time that I actually finished reading Rabid. So I'm going to do my review for it today. So I read this one on my Kindle. It's a standalone. I think it's an interconnected standalone. So you could read it in the series, but this is the only novel that I read out of this series. So the FMC is Seneca Rain and the MMC is Tyron. Now, I originally was thinking it might have been a possible slow burn just because it got to about 20 to 30% into the book before I actually knew who the MMC was. Like, I had no idea. We didn't meet him until around 20 to 30%. However, when they did meet, it was on site. It was not a slow burn. Can confirm this is a very spicy book, and it's like as soon as they met, it was on. And just throughout the book, I would say this is an extremely spicy book. So if that's not your thing, if you're not into that, I would not suggest reading this book. Basically, Seneca grows up in one pack. So she's a werewolf. She grows up in one pack and they mistreat her. They've just got a lot of different rules. Anyway, she ends up dipping into another pack and forcefully, I suppose. She had no say in this. But so she ends up in this other pack where she meets the MMC and it goes really well for her, actually. So Seneca is an extremely strong FMC. She can handle whatever is thrown her way. She's a fighter. She will stand up for what's right. She is not just going to sit there and let things happen to her or let things happen to people that she cares about. She is a fighter. She will go out kicking and screaming. She knows what she wants and she will fight for it. She never backs down from a fight. And if I'm looking down, I'm reading my notes that I've made on this. She gets extremely lippy, which sometimes gets her into bad situations, but she's a fighter. She can handle it. She gets herself out. She stands up against corruption and will always help those who are in need. So if somebody needs rescuing or, if someone needs help, she's there. She will help them. I ended up rating this book 4 stars. It was quite short, this book actually, but it was a fun time. I did enjoy it. It was really interesting. I have seen that it's been compared to that of like Bride by Ellie Hazelwood, and I would say it's pretty similar actually. Like, there's quite a lot of funny bits in this book too, so I do love that. But yeah, it was a 4 stars from me. Thanks so much guys for watching today's reading wrap up for the month of April. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you are planning on reading any of these books or if you have read them and what your thoughts were. But if you would like to see more of me, please feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video as well. Next week, I am posting my TBR for the month of May. So I will be going to the library, picking out my books, and I will be talking to you guys about them next week. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.